Yo, what's up with anime robots
They're cool. I
being
like them.
being sad?
Hmm. Which ones are you talking about?
I'm talking. Okay, that was more vague than I had expected. I'm talking about Signalis. What did you think I could have been talking about?
I mean, there's definitely Ava.
Yeah.
um, yeah. No, there's certainly a couple of sad anime robots out there. Um, FLCL, Gundam, but
Are they sad in FLCL? The robots?
Kanti is. I mean, well, like, you have. I guess you got to kind of interpret what you can. Kanti's pretty simple, but
Oh yeah, Nier Automata.
definitely
Also,
sad,
that had
sad,
sad robots.
sad robots in Nier for sure. You know.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
talking about Signalis sad anime robots,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the reasons I'm bringing that up is not just because I played it over the last week and beat it, but I checked out your VODs and you played about 99.9% of that game.
Yeah.
I was like scrolling through it. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see what Woolie thinks of the ending. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is like 25 minutes from the end of the game.
Nice. That's cool. I, I couldn't tell whether it was going to be a full session left or not, seeing as the narrative tools they use towards the end are
Yeah,
somewhat
so
deceptive.
so uh that game, okay, so that game's great. Can we agree? We can agree on that.
Fantastic.
That game is like visually astonishing. Like when it's got the cool old look, but then it goes for some really just super crazy art design and cutscenes, and the first person sections just man, oh man, it's
Like I
great.
said, hard cut to full screen kanji is a mood.
Yeah, Achtung, all this weird
Mm-hmm.
fucking future German shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is the first time in a long, long time that a game like legitimately, I'm gonna use air quotes, got me
Mm.
in terms of its progression and mechanical implications.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get got on Nier Automata, right?
Mm-hmm.
I because I had played Nier, so I was on the assumption that something was up. Signalis absolutely got me and like torpedoed my shit for a good 10 minutes and thoroughly confused me for a good long while as to what it was actually doing.
Okay. Now, was that based on the ending, or was that based on like approaching that point?
That was based off of the 2/3 mark,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
3/4 mark through the game,
Yeah.
where the game
Okay.
decides to really just start to fuck with you hard a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm. Um.
Uh,
So it felt for sure like it was a detailed love letter to survival horrors of the past,
mhm,
and I could feel the references that I wasn't getting. I
mhm.
also like one thing about it is it wears its references on its sleeve.
Like quite absurdly, literally, in that the marquee shot for the first trailer was Motoko Kusanagi looking robot busting her arm off trying to open
Precisely.
something.
Precisely, right? Like there's no pretending with that.
But
For,
then in the final version of that shot where you see what she's trying to open, it's the fucking pressure release valve that's on the side of an Ava plug tube. Like it's the same design as that
yeah.
handle, and you're like, oh,
Um
it's the Evangelion reference also.
and then at the same time, like I had a moment where I walked up to a uh hand puzzle
Hmm.
and just like I'm like, we're just doing it. We're not even gonna pretend. We're just straight up doing it. You
So
know?
I saw an interesting. I was talking all sorts of praise about this, and I saw somebody describing how they are not uh, they have not played many survival horror games, and they do not believe that they have watched or have played the games that this takes reference to, and whether or not that is important to the thing. I would say that's not important at all to actually appreciating it, because the kinds of references and callbacks and like love letter to survival horror, none of them are actually important to understanding or appreciating the game. It's just you're going through it and going, oh wow, okay, they really like this.
X
So
or
like the
Y,
save
yeah.
points are Silent Hill 2's save points. Like exactly. And then you later on encounter the big version of Silent Hill 2's save point that is the multi-red square.
It flashes to red. I mean,
Yeah.
makes a noise for sure. It
You
is
start the game in a fucking dirty bathroom staring into a fucking
a
mirror.
Yeah.
And like there's two levels to that I really appreciate. One is that it's a Silent Hill 2 reference, and two is androids don't need to be in a bathroom and they don't need to look at themselves in the mirror. So it has a connotation to that character as
And
well.
Yeah. That being said, even though it has a lot of these references and it's being overt with them, it's not trying to hide them in any way, shape, or form. It does, have its own setting and characters and plot, and it does a really good job of like sprinkling out the information, giving you too much information in a way where you're almost like you're not sure what to really parse and what to just kind of throw into the pile.
Yeah. So for a game that has like one of the oh man, it's so some of them are so on the nose I couldn't believe it. Like the location, the third location's name is just the same exact name as like the final Silent Hill 1 location.
Okay.
And it works the same with the lack of continuity between the rooms.
Yeah.
But for something as like violently confusing for most of its runtime, I feel like I want to even be stronger than that as to like it's fucking bewildering for most of its runtime as to what is actually occurring in that game. It actually, in that final level, you get the important chunks like little by little, and like huge slots of the narrative start to like just lock into place. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
and despite the ending being kind of confused, like I'm gonna say the physics of the plot are fairly confusing by the time you get to the end. The actual through line and understanding of the events is extremely clear.
So I feel like what you're kind of doing as you're getting all this information, Signalis is the game. As you're getting all this information is like you're getting introduced to, again, like types of robots, types of units, and locations, planets, and details about how the structure and the government works and whatnot. And you're kind of like going like, okay, this is all background, sure, but then every once in a while, like, you'll see a name that stands out as like, oh, that name's important, right? So this is something to pay attention to. Okay. Or like this this archetype is important.
Right. And then you'll get some kind of weird ass dream sequence that doesn't make any sense until you find
a letter
what
or
that
something.
dream sequence is based off of.
Yeah, exactly, right. So there were a couple moments of I guess just I'll call it like timed narrative, like there's one of those first person sequences. A lot of those are great. I really like, we talked about those before. They're really well done. There's one of them where it's kind of like you have a time limit and to pick up those pages and read them, and I guess I missed one, because I turned left instead of right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
about. But in the end, I feel like, for something that is like just paying all this love to all the genres, and survival horror mechanics, and like absolutely just going, no, this is a direct one-to-one homage to this thing. Really solid, standing on its own two legs plot that, like, with or without getting those references is really good,
Yeah, so I mean, I could go down the list and I could somebody in my chat made a joke when I was going from the 3rd level to the 4th level, which was, oh, now we're going to the lab, because the game follows the Resident Evil progression of stages exactly,
Okay.
which is mansion, guardhouse, mine, and lab. like,
Um,
like exactly.
what I would
And
say though,
those aren't like exactly 1-to-1. It's not exactly a guardhouse. It's not exactly, you know. Um,
what I would say though is that the part where you, if you didn't know any of the games or the genre at all up to this point, you would probably struggle. I know I would if I didn't recently play through like Silent Hill and get used to what that was
yeah,
about.
you recently played through the game's primary influences.
Yeah, and that was perfect timing because like the nature of what you're asked to do with your inventory is it's almost like walking into Dark Souls for the first time and kind of going like, "Oh, this is not like every other action game I've played." Like if you just try to treat that like anything else, you're going to hit that huge horrible wall and like suffer for a while until you start realizing empty pockets is the only way to go. You know?
Yeah, so I felt we talked last week about how I had a fairly typical survival horror fan's response to much of the game's first 2 levels, which was, I can't shoot anything. What if I need it for later? And I was pleasantly surprised that their solution to that behavior is to make that completely intolerable in the back half of the 3rd level and for the 4th level. There's no way to fucking navigate that final space without pulling out your fucking guns and zapping a bunch of guys. You're walking into rooms that have like, here's 4, 5, 6 dudes.
There's a couple of fuck rooms that you walk into that are just like, oh yeah, no guns, huh? No ammo? Okay. You know?
And as a result, in that final level, they're treating combat rooms as like lock and key. Like instead of having, oh, you need the fancy doll to open up the dollhouse, right? It's, you need the shotgun to bypass this room. Period.
Yeah. There is something also hilariously callous about the way item pickup prompts appear, because you don't think twice about it as you will go through most of the game, but when you have to run up to a key item and pick it up as things are on your ass in a room full of death, and you get a second message of, are you sure you want to pick this up? Yes or no? Oh, did you pick no? Whoops. Like there's a level of like, just pick the thing up, what the fuck are you doing?
It's
that this game is like, no, we're gonna fuck you over on that.
It's a really smart idea, because the usual mentality would be, if it's a room that doesn't have a puzzle in it and isn't a connecting hallway, you don't actually need to kill anything in there, right? Because then, you know, who gives a shit? You'll never be back in there. But picking up items, like, this is one of the only games I can think of in the entire genre in which picking up items does not stop time. So, no, fucking shoot them all. Shoot them all.
You can still pause and reload, you know.
Yeah.
That's there, but like you get no mercy on the item pickup.
The game does also a bunch of goofy, I don't know what to call it, like extra save shenanigans with your file.
As in,
like your data is being tracked as you die and reload games.
oh,
on your personality chart area of like your diagram, there's 13 little squares, and those each one fills up when you die and reload the game, but not when you reset the game.
I don't think I've died.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, and I think I've survived the entire time, and I managed to scrape by.
Yeah.
Got low a couple times, but I haven't died yet, so I haven't seen anything with that.
I really only have... The game is kind of immaculate and perfect, and I have a single issue. And that single issue has been solved by YouTube and people smarter than me, which is it uses the Silent Hill 2 method of determining ending states, which is tracking your gameplay metrics.
Okay.
However, they have really, really juiced the numbers on one of them. The quote unquote best one is actually like not the metrics you would think to get at all. And then it has a bonus super de-duper secret ending that required people to do like spectrographic analysis of the radio transmissions in the game. like ARG level nonsense.
Relax. Yeah, all right. So stare at that fucking photo like James, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's
yeah,
too much. That's too much.
but it's there for someone. I get it, but I just kind of mentally check out. Like a lot of the stuff with, for example, like the layers of Undertale when it first came out was super duper cool, and I was super, and I was. How fun was it to go through the narrative across multiple playthroughs?
Big fun.
Right, and then of course your super bosses to like cap off those narratives in a really strong way is great. The moment we get into the Gaster stuff, I'm out. I'm not in the going through the files. I'm not going through the folders. That's just not for me. It's for some people.
Not for you.
But, you know, I'm out on the Gaster stuff. You know,
it's too much.
Yeah.
But you don't want to fuck around in fucking binary code to find out whether or not Sans is from a different dimension.
ARG shit. I mean, it can be done. But like, even in the like, okay, in the lightest use of it, you've got QR codes, you know, for your puzzles, or you've got your, I guess your Fez alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as like ways to go outside of the game. Yeah.
I fucking that Fez alphabet shit makes me so fucking mad every time I think about it.
Yeah.
The level of fucking pomp and like, I'm the smartest indie developer. Fez is gonna change the world. Look, guys, I made a 1-to-1 alphabetic cipher. Oh, a Japanese game. Oh, fucking Phil Fish is such a fucking piece of shit.
I feel like the yeah, I like, again, it's definitely like it's in there for somebody if you're that person and you like taking your games to that level. You know, and people are going to be digging through those files anyway, right? So it certainly makes for a fun thread. But I like the things that are a bit more intrinsic, I suppose I'll call it. For example, punch out secrets that pop up 30 years later.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because that's in the game. It's like, go look. Did you notice the camera flash?
Like, actually pay attention, idiots.
Yeah, that's good.
Why aren't you paying attention?
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic, and just again, killing it on the aesthetics, top to bottom. All the robots are cute, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And I feel like some moments are practically layups for stream jokes. Like, really, you called it the ara ara? Like,
yeah,
you called it the
right?
ara ara? like, you know, we're just yeah, all right.
But yeah, no, it is a great goddamn video game.
So here's a thought. Like, I think in this, it's weird, but I feel like the lack of voice acting adds something to the mood here.
The only voice acting you hear in the entire game is that goddamn fucking apocalyptic sounding German warning message.
Achtung.
Yeah, it's the only spoken word in the entire game, and as a result, it's like very stark.
Yeah,
at how much that you feel that versus their own dialogue.
Everything is very creepy, and stays that way. But I feel like some good voice acting could, like, you know, probably be awesome for some of those cutscenes. You know, like Ito and stuff like that.
So it's an indie game, right? It's $20 and it's clearly lower budget. I think that you're right in that, like, some really excellent, stellar voice acting would improve it. However, I think anything less than that would have
Mm-hmm.
hurt it. And
Detract. Yeah.
so not having it was the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
like there's very little dialogue in that game. There's maybe I don't know, like maybe fucking 200-300 total lines of dialogue in the entire game. So if like Adler was bad,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a fucking problem.
Yeah. However, remember that this genre is also partially defined by its bad voice acting in its references.
Yeah, but
This is the time where you're actually taking it seriously.
yeah, because like Resident Evil 1 is definitively defined by its terrible voice acting. And Silent Hill 2 is defined not by, I would say, its terrible voice acting, but it's incredibly strange voice acting.
Yes.
Right?
And then in the end, that's part of the charm.
I think that I think that the setting they chose fucked them over in terms of ever deciding to have voice acting, because like I don't want anime voice acting with English speaking bad German accents. Like
German accents.
I think that would be the worst thing in the goddamn world.
The German accents could definitely, yeah. What's that fucking what's that show with the country students in the high school?
Hitalia.
Yeah. It's me, Germany. Hello.
Somebody in the chat points out, what if it was just straight up in German? Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. If it just kept it completely German, that'd be fun.
I'm making the assumption that Rose Engine is a German developer. I'm going to now double check that. It's a indie developer duo. It is a duo. Okay. That's impressive. Yuri Stern and Barbara Whitman, two illustrators and game designers currently residing in Hamburg, Germany.
Yeah.
There you go.
So coming into it as well, I mean, yeah, we're you know, it's just, again, highly recommended, super duper good. The what I'll call it, the turn, you know, that you get to at that 2/3 mark, certainly left me like momentarily stunned.
Yeah.
And like bordering on.
It got me in trouble with the wife.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, hey honey, I'm all done with Signalis, and she's like, but I'm making dinner, I don't have time for this. And I'm like, no, I'm not done with Signalis, don't you worry.
Yeah.
The game is tricking me.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm gonna go back and try to get that taken care of. Like, I could feel that I'm nearing certainly the end, but it was just hard to tell how much more they were gonna put there.
So you know how there's items you're picking up for a puzzle, the cards. That's the game's last puzzle. That's the final objective.
Yeah. Okay. Solid and short and sweet.
Man, okay, so 2 people made this, and then 3 people made Hollow Knight, and okay, we should definitely keep letting these. Man, how do I put this? This feels like how do I put that? This does not feel iterated. This feels like the game existed in a complete state in these people's minds, and then they just took it from their brain and put it onto the computer.
Well, I'm sorry to let you know, it probably was iterated. You don't get a game this clean without having many people get through it and touch it and course correct over the.
No, I know, but it's not a situation where like, oh, let's add this. How do I put this? it feels like it was directed there were no gigantic changes, that this was the exact thing that they had in their mind in terms of like gameplay. Yeah, no, how many bullets do enemies take?
Yeah.
How many, what have you?
I'm sure they worked on the like the enemy behavior, like, and balanced that quite a bit, before
Oh,
you
I
land.
can. It's funny because I saw when I was playing through it, there were people who had gone through it on survival, and had described that the entire game. It's not like it's harder; it's the entire game's combat balance and item balance is like completely different on a harder difficulty, because you go from, if you save enough, you have plenty of resources for everything, to you just don't have enough resources for anything.
I The only things that bug me, and I guess this is to be, I'm
The
gonna
inventory limit.
not the inventory limit. I talked about that.
It's
Right?
too small. Even I
It's
think it's too small.
it is. It's stifling, but whatever. I got used to that, and that was fine. But like I said, trying to learn the rules in any game is something that I enjoy and I want to get down, and I realized too that, like, okay, so the part where you never know, you can't really expect any room to ever be completely clear unless you sacrifice a resource for that, is like, okay, I get that, right? Otherwise, the permanent threat is there, and that's part of what this game is about, the back and forth. This is where the challenge is going to be. But then I guess I had some moments where I'm like, wait for the targeting reticle to be as small as possible to ensure maximum impact damage and such.
Yeah.
And I get 2 perfect targeting reticle shots off and the thing goes down. But then sometimes it's not 2.
Yeah.
And that's where I go, but then why is it not?
Because enemies have variable levels of health.
Okay, right.
Even the same enemy has variable levels of health.
Yes. And this is where I go, oh no, like, my calculations on my bullets are not enough. So I think 2 is enough to take care of something. Turns out it's 3, and sometimes even 4, or in shotgun's case, 1 good shotgun, but sometimes it's 2, and I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah. Like, the enemies don't behave the same way even if they're the same type of enemy,
Yeah, and that's to create a feeling of stress over your inventory. Yes. Because in a game like fucking, let's take RE2, right? Your standard zombie has the same amount of health as any other standard zombie unless they have a hat. And your bullets have a random chance to crit. But overall, it's going to take 6 to 9 bullets to kill an average zombie. If they fall down before that, then they're going to get back up. So go down and plug them until you have the extra blood thing. And I'm talking about the original Resident Evil 2. Right? What this creates is a situation in which you can look at your inventory and you go, I have 17 bullets in my gun and I have 30 rounds in an ammo thing. Therefore, I know I can kill at least 5 zombies. Guaranteed. Right? And you can kind of solve rooms in that way. Signalis doesn't seem to want to let me do that. Yeah. Like, I'll have 5 shotgun shells in the shotgun, and sometimes I can down like most of a room in 1 shot and then stomp them, and I'm like, cool. And other times it has taken 3.
Yes.
So and that's 300% increase in bullets, man.
That's the thing. So when you fully load up a shotgun and you're like, I'm going to take this shotgun from here to the next save point, this can take care of either 5 problems or 2.
Yeah, that's wildly different.
That's a significant difference in problem solving. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you're like, well, what if I run the gun with no ammo? I just run the gun. And then you get in the position where sometimes that went really well. And I pulled out a handgun, and I was able to kill like 3 full enemies with just the 10 bullets in the handgun. And other times that got me like 1.5. And like, oh fuck, that didn't help. I should have left it in the box if it's only going to give 1.5. But then I'll take the handgun ammo with me. But now I only have 4 fucking slots to.
Yeah. Or if really you want to rock. If you want to enjoy your rifle, you have no choice but to bring that ammo with you.
Yeah, it really makes me feel that every health item in the entire game is placed as meant to be used on the spot.
Right. don't bother fucking walking with this. Pick it up and clear that slot. Did you do any merging of health items to create instant sprays?
I did a so when I was in the final zone, I recognized it as this is obviously the final zone, and I went into my inventory, and I did have like triple the amount of items I would need to beat the game.
Okay.
So I went and I had like 40 heals just sitting there. So I'm like, oh, okay, and then I combined all of them that I could every now and then. And then I got to the final boss, and the final boss, you're better off just bringing the auto injectors that heal you
Sure.
to
Yeah,
full
that's
when you
yeah, the res. Those feel like they're
because you
made
can
for
carry
boss
3 of
fights.
those, and that's 3. That just increases your health bar by like 3 full health states.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes way more. That's what I did for most bosses that I could prepare for.
It's also nice that in the big boss fight in the beginning and the final boss fight, they drop ammo in the room with you.
Cool.
Like there's ammunition
you could
at
get
hand,
fucked.
so that if you walked in with like actually nothing, you could probably do it.
I found out like basically once I found out about the spray mechanic and the combining shit, I was like, okay, I got to do that more often. And then every time I ended up picking up a small heal, I was like, fuck, I'm in the yellow. I need this, you know.
Yeah,
So,
and the heals are like designed around just use them now, dude, whatever, because they all like most of them take like a couple minutes to heal your health state. Like it takes they're over time.
and time is a real weird word. What does time mean? I'm like 30 seconds? Not quite.
So I got through the whole game, literally couldn't figure out how long it takes those to heal a health state. Like it could be a minute, it could be 5. All I know is that I would use it, and then the next time I checked my health value, it was full.
I see Susie over there. What's up? Beat the final boss with no resources? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so
you can do it. Okay.
The final boss not only gives you like ammunition, but it also has a mechanic associated with it, assuming you actually fucked it so badly that you're walking in without any firearms either.
Here's something you could do. Okay.
The game does do something that is like very Resident Evil and cute. Is like the final note you read in the game about the final boss. It just goes, "Hey, you should leave some room in your inventory so you can pick up items."
Yeah.
No, you probably won't be able to beat the boss if you can't pick up an item.
I do appreciate the telegraphing of a couple of those moments. Again, when you see a door with 5 keys on it, you go, fuck.
Yeah, that happens. It's like 2 or
twice.
3 times.
Yeah. Then you're like, you know exactly what this is, you know? Better go fucking run those pockets, son.
There's 3 moments in the game that if you want to actually open the door all at once, you need to fill your whole inventory, like the whole inventory, to actually just even attempt it. But you can make trips.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Good stuff.